Twitter shouldn't have tried to cancel Carson. Twitter just should not exist.
Or at least trying. Coming back.
Honestly, I'm gonna straight out like to just say, unless I might change my opinion in like 10 minutes, because that usually should happen or could happen when you hear other people's opinion. But honestly, I don't think what he did was like, oh my god, what the fuck. Like, he was, I understand at some point he did to multiple girls, and that's why I would be like, it's kind of weird. But I mean, again, the gap of the 21 and 17, again, 17 years, it's like the home record of business I had, or H2O delivers business. I was like, I couldn't give two shits. It's a 17-year-old. It's not necessarily, you know, a 12-year-old like it was with EDP, or a 13-year-old like it was with EDP. Twitter shouldn't have tried to cancel Carson. Twitter just should not exist.
Or at least trying to.
It wasn't even illegal. And something like they were talking about, like, oh yeah, even the 16-year-old victim, right? She was 16, which in this state I think is legal. And again, morally speaking, man, like when people start talking about 16, 17, like, yeah, sure, a 42-year-old man, like, I'm not gonna say that morally, at the very least morally speaking, but there's no law, that's like a huge jump in experience, in life experience. Exploitable behavior could be an option, and I understand all that. But for someone to say, like, you know, it's a problem that a 21-year-old was trying to mess with a 16, couldn't honestly care. Most critical share the same opinion in that regard of, like, you know, they could be in the same fucking class, in the same high school class, you know. It is not like a crazy fucking thing to consider. Oh, no, actually, no, it wasn't even that. It was 19 and she was 17. That's even worse. Like, that's literally in the same fucking class.
But anyway, he said, in January, if you spell your name wrong on an IQ test, does your score get knocked down? That was his, like, last...
I thought he was going to say, like, if you spell your name wrong on Twitter, you're canceled. Because honestly, I could see that shit. Are you appropriating?
Give me a little bit longer. Thumbs up. For those of you guys don't know,
in case you guys don't know, a thumbs up in the Western world means okay, dude, or it's a positive message of reassurance. No, I'm just messing. People are so self-righteous, yeah. And it truly annoys me, because we can always be hypocrite and stuff like that, but self-righteous is, you gotta have a huge effort of being self-righteous. You know, you gotta do some deep shit for you to not recognize how, like, self-righteous you have to, like, you're being. I think it's a very deliberate action when you're self-righteous.
Here's a question why someone doesn't understand the situation. Can someone actually explain to me why Carson is hated? I don't watch his content, and honestly, I dislike it, but as far as I know, he got canceled for having a relationship with a girl that was barely 2 years younger than him. Am I missing an important piece here?
No, that's pretty much it.
Missing the
I mean, yeah, sure, the people are gonna bring up the news thing, which is still a 2-year thing, like, oh yeah, it's completely fine for them to be kissing, but the news is a no-no. What? Like, kissing involves direct contact, and also, again, when it comes to that, fucking hell, man. Consent. I'm forgetting all words today, man. I gotta take some magnesium or some shit, I don't know. Because all of a sudden, like, oh, a relationship is fine, kissing and all that, even sex, that's fine. It's only 2 years of a gap, it's fine. But then the news are a problem? I don't understand if that's... maybe I'm understanding people's complaints wrong, but that's what I've seen. It's a pretty big piece, dude. What he did was illegal. Again, I don't know what the state was and whatever. If it was illegal, I don't know, man. You saw what EDP did and he still didn't get arrested. So I'm not going to pull the argument of, like, if he's not arrested, then it wasn't illegal. Because apparently that's also... EDP clearly did something illegal and he's still out there. I mean, I don't know, man. It's not an issue to me, man. It's not an issue. The news thing doesn't change anything for me, honestly. Again, when it comes to that, I think the bigger problem people had with this behavior was that power in... Hey, this is bullshit. This is the worst fucking arguments that I usually read about YouTubers being canceled. Are fucking YouTubers supposed to date people who only have, first and foremost, YouTube channels over 2 million? Let's imagine you have 2 million, you gotta have someone over 2 million. What about that YouTuber? Is there gonna be a power imbalance? That makes no fucking sense. You're a YouTuber, you're not a politician. You have no fucking power. What kind of power do you have? Oh, but the person admires that person. Sure. I admire my girlfriend, don't you? You know, my girlfriend admires me. It's normal for you to fall in love with people who you admire. That's not an issue. The fact that she was a fan of him and his content and he manipulated her because of it. Not so much because that she was 17. How is that manipulation? A person likes something about you, something that you worked on for, first and foremost. Your content, I would assume he had to work for it. Like, people appreciate your work and they like it. They're fans of you. Again, my girlfriend is a fan of me. I'm a fan of her. Even when in the beginning, that's why I fell in love with her. I admire her for a lot of things that she already did. Even though we were kids, we had no life experience, right? But that doesn't fit in my mentality. Why that would be an issue with a power imbalance? What power?
I don't think that's the case. I think, again, when it comes to content creators, they all have groupies, okay?
Dude, that's always gonna happen.
Bands, singers, songwriters, anybody celebrity, usually you're gonna be a fan. You know, like if
Yeah.
I don't think that's the imbalance that a lot of people are upset about. I think a lot of people were kind of more concerned about what was the reason why he was being distanced from his friends. Why did all his friends come out and be like, I can't be associated with you? What's going on? And they explained it, but not in 1000% detail. This is something that CallMeCarson basically had to explain for himself, and he hasn't. This person said, it's a pretty big piece, dude, what he did.
All right, you can criticize him for that. I'll agree with you that. He should have addressed the issue a little bit more, right? Because it was a serious allegation, right? It was something, you know, I don't defend that you should answer to every single allegation because people can just create allegations out of thin air. But this actually happened. And if people have an issue, well, just address them and say like, oh, this is my piece and this is why I actually, you know, I feel like should be a little more communication. That was his only issue. Personally, talking about like what I personally believe to be his only issue in this situation. I will watch it in my private time. His conclusion, I think that those are the same complaints that I have. Worries that I have is that something else happened and we're not hearing about that. So for that, CallMeCarson does in fact need to talk. At the very least, minimally. I'm not really too upset, but he needs to tell if there's anything else that we need to know, right? Or anyone else, by the way.